I see what ho, chaps and chappets, Game Chap and Bertie here.
Yes,
fellows, and I dare say we now have some rather interesting news concerning the tier list for Super Smash Bros. 4, if such a thing exists, don't we, old chap?
we most certainly do, old chap. Yes, indeed. As you may know, we reported earlier or previously on a top and bottom player, as it were.
That's
There
right.
had been
Now, that was, of course,
compiled through, some events and some matches that were going on.
that was, of course, the first tier list released in Japan, you'll see, based upon an initial and early set of matches, I believe
Yes.
120 matches. But since then, people have, of course, been playing the game studiously and studying the various characters and matchups, and it seems they have been voting upon who they think is the best character and who they think is the worst. So what we are looking at here is a community-decided tier list, which appears to be in a state of constant flux, but we are reporting upon where that tier list stands right now as we speak.
Most certainly, and which would be very interesting, of course, to all the players out there who are listening, both playing 3DS, and this may possibly relate to Wii U as well. We don't know.
At least in part, yes, we think so, Elby.
Right.
Now, this particular tier list, it seems, was collated using a sample size of roughly 1,500 votes, judging the characters' potential, their favourable and unfavourable matchup standings, how many matchups they had that were perhaps evenly balanced with other fighters, etc., and so forth, and of course, giving an overall score depending on that character's performance. Now, of course, there are 48 characters on this list,
48?
and where do we start, old chap?
Well, exactly. So therefore, 1,500 people is rather that's a good proportion. So we can get a very good idea from this, just that these characters, whether they're good or whether they're bad.
Indeed.
Now, 48 characters. Now, at the bottom, number 48, and everyone will want to know who this is going to be, is guess who? Can you guess? Well, it's
Ganondorf?
nope, Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong,
They
really?
put Donkey Kong down there at 48, and they give us some stats to explain why they've done so.
Now that's interesting because I thought DK was quite a powerful character, certainly in Brawl. I mean, he was never top tier material,
Yes.
but he was always quite strong, particularly with that back aerial, and of course
Right.
his giant punch could catch people out every now and then.
Right,
But
so
it
what are they
seems-
saying about him?
It seems indeed they think he has absolutely no favourable matchups at all, only 2 matchups that are even, and they save 45 against him.
45 against him. So what that means then is 45 players can give him a right kicking.
A right king, 45 fighters, that's right.
Fighters, and he's got 2 which he might match up with not too bad, as it were.
And
What
no
about
favourable ones at all.
So no favourite ones at all. So this is quite a revelation. Now, where was he on the last list? I can't remember.
Now, of course, in the previous Japanese tier list, they thought he was high D tier. That is about halfway up the roster. But it seems now he's been placed right at the very bottom, old chap.
Well, D's not very good, so it's a pretty good indication then that playing Smash Brothers with DK probably not that good idea.
Well, the poor chap indeed appears to have taken a bit of a drubbing there. Now, of course,
Right.
next up is, of course, none other than Olimar, you know.
Olimar, right, okay, now what this hit about Olimar is he's got 1 favourable out of 48, 1 favourable.
Yes.
45 unfavourables, and that, well, what more do we need to say?
Well, indeed, but he's certainly, again, in the low tier very much there. And I'm just going to, in fact, read across the bottom bracket, as it were. Starting at number 40, we have, in order, Mr. Game & Watch at number 40, Mega Man at number 41. I thought he was better than that, old chap.
Oh, yes. that's
Zelda
right.
at number 42, perhaps expected there. Wii Fit Trainer has his leg ho at number 43. Luigi, the poor chap, at number 44. Ganon the Manon, or Ganondorf, is in at 45. So he's still low tier, we'll get you Ganon chaps out there. Charizard at number 46, meanwhile.
Yes, but Ganondorf, I thought he was not too bad, quite powerful. And actually, they're saying he's got 5 favourables and 37 unfavourables against him. Unfavourables meaning those that can actually give him a right kicking.
Well, it of course means that he not necessarily does not have an advantage against those particular fighters in the given
Exactly.
matchup. Now, of course, Ganondorf, I believe, is a very powerful character, and he relies upon punishing mistakes. But indeed, with the advent of For Glory mode, where you've got Final Destination only and no items, projectile campers and fast fighters can camp him all day long, and he does suffer from that, you'll say.
Right, okay, so people will want to know that. Just out of interest, where was he last time?
He was at the bottom, of course, Eljam.
At
Just
the bottom.
one above
So
Palutena.
this is linking together.
Yes, that's right, of course.
okay.
So it's quite interesting. Now, of course, moving into the 30s, what do we have starting at number 35?
Well, number 35, we've got in there Wario. Well, yes, Wario. We've got 12 favourables with Wario, and of course 28 unfavourables with Wario.
That's interesting. Once again, Wario is, of course, I believe, quite a strong fighter. Now, in Brawl, he wasn't too bad, but it seems indeed the chaps have deemed him at 35 there a very low contender.
Most certainly does seem to be rather rather low. And then just moving up higher on the 30s list there, we see Meta Knight in at 32.
I see. Very interesting, old chap. Now, of course, Meta Knight was indeed the reigning champion beforehand, but it seems his nerfs this time have brought him down to the 30s range. Now, I'm just going to go through the 30s for you here, fellows, once more.
Samus in at 33, I can't believe it.
Indeed, we have a Pac-Man at number 30 there. Falco in at 31. He's really been nerfed, old chap, very badly. His F-smash and other moves, and particularly his chain grabs are gone, etc.
Oh, yes.
Samus, as you say, at number 33. Now, I think Samus, to be honest, I think some people thought she might have been a bottom-tier character, but it seems indeed the chaps here believe she has, let's see, 11 favourable matchups, 5 evens and 31 against her. So that's not too bad, really, for our bounty hunter.
I agree with you, but I think, there was two camps there. The bottom tier, some were thinking she was a bottom tier, and some, of course, top tier. But it just depends on the way they look at it, I suppose.
Well, I mean, certainly she has got a projectile or 3 in her favour, of course. The missiles there, the power beam, etc. and so forth, and that is useful on For Glory mode, but of course, whether or not she remains middle tier, as it were, on other stages remains to be seen. But
yes.
Moving on then, we have Kirby at number 34. I think possibly, hard to say. Ike, meanwhile, he has been nerfed quite considerably, and is at number 36. The Doctor, Dr. Mario, finds himself at 37, with the Villager at 38, followed by King DDD at 39.
Right, okay, so all these players, just because they're down there, you can play them. Some of them are saying 8 favourables, and of course, if you know who the favourables are, you can use these characters perhaps to your advantage. We don't know who the favourables are at the moment.
Well, I have to say, many of these characters, of course, don't have many matches in their favour, but I have to say, as a Brawl Captain Falcon user, I can tell you, just because it's not in your favour doesn't mean you can't win. Sometimes it's about out-strategizing and mind-gaming the opponent.
Yes.
Of course, it can be very tough, though, depending on the stage.
Right, so let's have a quick look then. Who's in the 20s there?
The 20s.
Yes, and going to the bottom tier of 29, Pikachu and Toon Link in at 28.
Pikachu and Toon Link. Now, of course, these are two traditionally quite strong characters, but I'd say they have roughly remained in the same position there as the previous Japanese tier list. It seems indeed people think they've taken their respective nerfs and changes, and they are indeed at 28 and 29 now. Of course, Pikachu's down B, or his Thunderbolt spam, has been absolutely stopped. That's much weaker. Some rather of his other moves have been nerfed, but I have to say he's still quite a formidable force on the battlefield, so he's well deserving of the mid-tier position there.
Certainly, yes. Now, the top tier of the 20s, the 20s and 21, 22 here, we've got 20 Dark Pit is in.
I see.
Yes, 21 Diddy Kong and 22 Rob.
That's right. Now, Dark Pit, of course, overshadows his regular self because Regular Pit's at 23, and indeed Dark Pit at 20. Now, indeed, I believe Dark Pit is quite a strong contender. His side B is a powerful move, and he has other various tricks to mess people up. I think packs rather a touch more power than Regular Pit, thanks to that side B. Of course, Pit was always a reasonably good choice in the old game.
Yes.
He does, of course, have a projectile, which helps him out a lot in full glory mode. But there is a real surprise entry in this 20s bracket, old chap.
There most certainly is. I'm going to read these out and see which one you think. 24 Bowser, 25 Palutena.
Just stop there, old chap. Stop there.
Indeed.
Palutena, fellows. This tier list has ripped up the Japanese rulebook. It said, no, this is nonsense. Palutena is not bottom tier after all. And it actually says here, she's number 25. Now, of course, this will heavily depend, I believe, on whether or not she can use those custom moves of hers, because her default moveset is really bad, but once she gets access to custom moves, she becomes a much more powerful threat. And of course, you get her custom moves right from the outset, no need to unlock them. So if tournaments do indeed allow custom moves, and it seems they might be tending towards that, then Palutena should indeed, I think, be quite deserving of a higher tier spot, certainly than bottom of the list, old chap.
Most certainly. So 1,500 people have played there, and they said, well, we think Palutena is sort of mid-range rather than at the bottom, as they were trying to put her before, was at the top, I'm not sure.
That's right, they're saying she's very much middle of the range with roughly even matchups for and against her.
Yes, indeed, yes.
So that's Palutena. Meanwhile, Bowser Jr., the new entrant there, is at 26 with Jiggly in 27.
Yes,
and of course, indeed, that is the 20s. Now, I believe some of these matches are, of course, quite similar to the Japanese ones, but we do have some upsets here. For example, as I said earlier, Samus at 33 and now Palutena at 25.
Yes.
And let's move on to the next contender list, being, of course, the 10s.
Yes, we're in the 10s, and of course, at the bottom of the 10s here, a surprising entry in the 19s here, we've got Little Mac. And of course, they were saying Little Mac was overpowered before, and you could be a bit of trouble, but he's scoring there, well, mind you, 20 favourables, not bad.
I think it has to be said, Little Mac is a very powerful character. He's a powerhouse. He's got lots of ways to approach and take people out quickly, but if you can get him off the stage with a throw or an aerial, he's finished. He's as good as dead, so he really is an everything or nothing character. But I think, nonetheless, he's dangerous. Now, just above him, we've got Shulk, and a surprise contender at 17 there is Mario, followed by Link at 16.
Most certainly. Now, Link at 16 showing 28 favourables there against 11 unfavourables.
Oh yes, this is a very big buff from Brawl Fails. Link has really gone up in the world, as has Mario. It seems perhaps Nintendo have had words with Mr. Sakurai, and they said, look, Link and Mario are two of our main characters, they've got to be better than this. They're just too bad.
Well,
so it seems indeed his projectiles, his various attacks have been buffed, particularly Link's dash attack is jolly good. He has a lot more options at his disposal now, and of course, the all-important projectile, as Mario also has. And moving up the list there, we've got Duck Hunt, who unsurprisingly is in at a solid number 15, and then Marth, Ness, and Lucina.
Yes, with Captain Falcon at number 11 place.
Oh
with
my
31
word.
favourables.
Really? Captain Falcon?
Yes,
what a hero.
Yes, most certainly. Who was a difficult player in the previous game. Quite hard to use.
That's right. In Brawl, of course, Captain Falcon had a notorious fall from grace, but it seems he may be approaching his old melee glory days now, fellas. He's very, very fast. His up aerials are jolly strong. He has a good aerial game, much less lag. The knee is a lot stronger. He generally has a lot more options available to him, and of course he can KO with that Raptor boost at 130%, so a jolly good choice, I think.
Most certainly. So all of you out there that are playing this game now will no doubt be taking very rapid, hurried notes here of all these tiers to see who you need to play to beat people online, etc.
Yes.
As we move into the top 10.
The top 10!
The top 10 in at number 10 then.
Number 10!
We have in at number 10. They're putting Peach at number 10 with 28 favourables against 9 nons.
Pretty Pink Princess Peach is at 10. Now, she's always been quite a good contender in Smash Fails, and it's no different here. Peach there with a couple of tricks at her disposal is a nasty lady and not to be messed with. In at number 9, meanwhile, is Fox, and I have to say that has to be true. Fox is just so fast. He's got lots of good, solid killing moves. The up smash there is particularly dangerous, and many other options at his disposal. Now, in at number 8, with 30 favourable matchups, is Robin.
Robin, yes. Now, this is a surprise. Well, not a surprise. Can't remember where he was in the last one, but they're saying, well, Robin's rather favourable there with 34.
34, I say. Indeed. Now, of course, Robin was not in the top 10 before, so certainly it seems the community, general consensus that he is quite high. He has many projectiles. Of course, he also has Nosferatu for draining enemy HP. Above him, meanwhile, is Lucario.
Yes. Well, that Robin was 30 favourables, I meant 34.
Oh,
you know, again,
34.
rather than against.
Yes.
So, yes, Lucario then in at number 7. And in at number 6, Yoshi, who was put in the top tier, as I remember last time.
Oh, yes, indeed.
So he's still showing he's a good character.
Yoshi is widely agreed there to have a very, very good amount of potential in Smash. His shield pressure is very good. He has lots of options available to him, various bugs he can use. Certainly he is a powerhouse at the moment as opposed to his Brawl and melee selves. He's certainly really been buffed, I say. In just one above him then is Greninja.
Greninja, yes, in there with 41 favourables against 3 unfavourables. A powerful character, according to these 1,500 players.
Yes, that's right. Of course, he struggles somewhat with killing Greninja, but his overall game is very, very fast. He can do a good up smash close to the ledge there. He has a powerful projectile who can mess people up. And, of course, his recovery move can gimp people off stage and send them to an early grave, I say. Meanwhile, in at what must be his highest position yet, at number 4, they think, is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog, yes. Now, we didn't see him in the top tier before, I'm pretty sure.
I think he was fairly highly placed, actually, old boy, but not quite that high. He was, I think, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 or 8 in the previous tier list, and of course now he's number 4, they say. Now, just one above him is the ever hot, shall we say, Zero Suit Samus, you know.
Zero Suit Samus, yes, they're scoring a high with no unfavourables and 42 favourables.
Yes, indeed, she is a very annoying character to play against if you don't know how to handle her right. She can paralyze stun all day and get it in for a quick punish, and of course keep you just at arm's length to keep dishing out the pain. Plus, she's actually got a surprise kill option now with the up B there, which is quite interesting.
Yes.
Then we have the top 2 contenders.
The top 2 contenders, yes. Now, these are the ones that people will really want to be thinking about and looking at. Now, Sheik is in at number 2.
That's right. Sheik was, of course, number 1 before. She's number 2 now. Anyone can tell you that Sheik is a strong character with excellent options at mid-range. The only place she suffers is perhaps right up close. If you get in Sheik's face and talk to her, as it were, it's quite, shall we say, difficult for her to respond so quickly, although she does have many, many options. Certainly a very dangerous character. And who is our crowned champion?
Oh, now they're saying that the top character out of all these 1,500 players scribed in concrete with a tungsten scriber is Rosalina.
Rosalina and Luma. I see.
Most certainly.
Now, it
with
is
45 favourables against 2 unfavourables.
No. It is claimed she has 45 matchups in her favour with only 2 even ones and nothing against her.
I beg your pardon. No. 0 unfavourables, but 2 maybes.
Yes, indeed. So if you're going to pick a character to train for those, you may do well to choose Rosalina, Sheik, Zero Suit Samus, or one of their ilk. Now, if you're fighting Rosalina, I would say the best tip is perhaps initially to ignore Rosalina herself and actually concentrate on beating up the Luma, because he, of course, can dish out lots lots and lots of punishment. He's got infinite jab options. He has nasty distance smash potential. He's just a very, very annoying little chap. So try your best to get rid of him. And then, of course, you get an 8-second window before he respawns. So really, you have to hurry and force your attacks on Rosalina in that time.
Most certainly. So I think we're going to see a lot of very strong and very vehement, vicious battles with those top 5 or 6, I would say.
Yes, indeed. Why, certainly I'm pleased that Captain Falcon has such a good standing, though I dare say he does struggle somewhat against the top chaps there. Now, indeed, if you are going to choose a character online in Super Smash Bros., certainly in Full Glory, your top choices do indeed seem to be, fellows, Rosalina, Sheik, Zero Suit Samus, Sonic and Greninja.
Most certainly, with Yoshi in there, Lucario and Robin as well. But don't forget the other characters, because if you specialise in those, you'll become particularly skilled in their moves. Some of these lower tier characters, even in the 20s and 30s, you could well be able to beat some in the top tiers as well, rather easily.
Oh, I have to say, indeed, fellows, this, although a tier list, does not necessarily mean that someone playing as Ganondorf, for example, can't beat a Sheik. Now, I dare say, I have seen some very good Ganondorfs indeed. I can boot a bit of posterity with Ganondorf myself, old chap.
Well, most certainly, no doubt. Yes, it doesn't just mean you can go out and take Rosalina and just go out and beat everyone out there, of course.
Oh, no.
Because these players, no doubt, these 1500 were experienced, skilled players.
That's right. This is all subject to skill, but I think what they're trying to say here is if you have 2 players of equal skill, then someone with Rosalina might have a better chance to win than, for example, someone playing as Ganondorf.
Most certainly, yes, indeed. So this is an interesting tier list that a lot of people want to think about and perhaps just adjust their playing skills to, in accordance with the player.
That's right, but of course, once again, as we said last time, Fails, this is by no means final. The game is constantly in flux. There's updates coming out. New tactics are being discovered all the time. So don't take this as the final word. For goodness sakes, this is, of course, the second of no doubt many tier lists, and we'll bring you the rules as it comes out, I say.
We most certainly do, but it's a jolly good guide to go by, no doubt.
Indeed, they are, Fails. What do you think of this latest tier list for Super Smash Bros. 4? Do let us know your opinions, I say.
Yes, indeed. Perhaps there's someone playing with a bottom tier that's always winning.
Indeed, I say. And for goodness sakes, do join us, I say, in the next exciting Super Smash Bros. News outing. We look forward to seeing you then. Until then.
Yes, indeed.